Hi everybody, welcome to Shivers. Today's going to be a little bit different. I usually tend to stay away from spiritual topics on a large scale simply because I think it's in poor taste to put that out as content. However, I'm getting to the point where I'm really sick and tired of hearing misinformation, especially from a more metaphysical perspective. This is the realm of something that I'm in on a daily basis. So I'm kind of on here to just be the person to give the correct information on what's going on just in the universe at large and what we ourselves can do about it. So this whole episode does not necessarily have a stem from a belief system, but I do want to give you my background for those of you who haven't been following Shivers for a while. So for those of you who have, really my whole background started, I grew up Catholic, I went to church, did the whole thing until I was 18. And even prior to that, I loved crystals. I loved psychic fairs. I used to see ghosts in our house. And it really wasn't until I was a full-blown adult that people finally started taking me seriously. You know, everybody was like, you have a brand new home that you guys are growing up in. There's no ghosts, there's no nothing. And it wasn't until I was 18 when we were about to move out where my mom finally brought a person who does home clearings. Before that, we would bring the Catholic priest over to our home and just bless the home. But she finally had some woman come and do a house clearing who confirmed that our house was built on Native American burial grounds. We then looked it up and that was true. So really ever since then, it's been more of just a deeper dive into the connectedness for things. And in 2020, my mom opened her own business called Solely Holistic, which is where I do a lot of work out of. And she really leans more into the healer side of things. So she's a Reiki master, archangelic light master. For those of you who are not familiar with that stuff, it really just means energy healer. It's the idea that everybody is energy. You walk up to a person, you get a vibe off of them, that's their energy. It's kind of the invisible smell. Like, you know what you see, you know what you feel when you're around somebody. That's all it is. This is now just learning how to craft that for more healing purposes. So when we're talking more metaphysical bodies, really it's the idea that our bodies are centered on the chakras, and there's over 80 chakras total, but we focus on just the center ones. So we have our third eye and the crown. Both of those are going to be connected to more of the intuition. Then you have your throat, which is all about speaking your truth, speaking just your voice. Your heart, which is all your passions. Your solar plexus, which is all about confidence. Your sacral, which is about creativity and passion, and your root, which is all about groundedness, safety. So it's kind of taking that pyramid of psychology and just turning it into energy. You know, we need the root of safety. We need the headspace of dreams. So it's all connected. But when we're talking about things, especially from an astrological perspective, I'm just going to give a very big overview of this. With everything that's going on in the world right now, the biggest thing to note is that the astrological makeup of the United States as it stands today is the exact same astrological makeup as when we went to war in World War II. This is why things are very chaotic right now. This is also why it feels very familiar for a lot of those older generations. This is not supposed to get better anytime soon for the actual United States, not until 2030. For individual people, though, we have just recently entered into the Age of the Aquarius for the next 40 years or something like that. This is a great thing. This is all about the people standing up in their uniqueness, rebelling against society, and empowering each other to become the best versions of ourselves, the most unique versions of ourselves, and starting to acknowledge people for who they are on a more individual level rather than lumping everyone together as a group. So this is really a combination that marks a rebellion, which is why when a lot of people say, aren't you scared? I'm like, no, I'm extremely motivated. I cannot wait for people to start doing something, and it's really going to be any day now. So for this conjunction to really happen just in general, we're also still sitting currently in Mercury retrograde in Pisces, which really broken down is just all about confronting our emotions. So this is that perfect time to say, how do we feel about it? Don't act on feeling, just how do we feel? As soon as Mercury retrograde ends, that's when action starts to happen. So kind of think of this period as almost like a slingshot, but the importance of keeping ourselves centered, that's where some of that energy healing can come in. We also have this practice called astral projection. Astral projection is really the idea where you're going into this deep meditation and you're physically, your soul is actually moving away from your body and going somewhere. So you'll start to see, especially with like a lot of conspiracy videos, that a lot of these more metaphysical people are doing astral projections and astral travel to try to go to the island, to try to go to Antarctica, to find where the source of truth actually is without needing to do it in real time. I do think we're probably going to start seeing a lot more of this, especially from people who are experts, essentially. I think anybody who is a little bit more open-minded, start paying attention to your dreams, especially in the upcoming months. Anything that comes in is not irrelevant. As a reminder, February 17th was the kickoff of the year of the fire horse. This is all about completely uprooting and flying. Like, we're going. And you've probably already seen that. Me, myself, I already lost 2 people who were my best friends. They're not my best friends. That it literally, the day of the fire horse, everything got uprooted. So anything that is not meant for our authenticity is going to go. And this is where the Age of Aquarius comes into play, is that who are you and what strengths do you bring to the table? It's also all about alchemizing and transmuting our actual strengths into, don't change who you are, put yourself in the right place. If you are somebody who's going to be more outspoken, now's your opportunity to go and find a microphone. Don't silence your voice. If you are somebody who's more of an observer, start taking notes, start paying more attention. If you're a writer, start making more stories. Everything from here on out is use your own skills and strengths to your advantage, no matter what they are. Even if it's more of that negative side of things, if you're somebody who's just really angry, transmute your anger into passion. Start doing something. Again, we're sort of sitting in this period right now of uncomfortable because action is right around the corner. So again, I'm coming on here from that perspective of hopefully clearing some things up and just keeping it a little bit more simple rather than breaking down every single planet and every single thing that's going on, but also to give you a little bit of hope. So I think in the big scheme of things, right now is a very important period to not take things personal. This is where you start to analyze, what is the group think? What is the negativity at large? And what can me, myself do to just upgrade my own self? When we talk about vibrations and frequency, that all goes back to energy. Like I was saying before, it's kind of that invisible smell when you go around somebody. So the more positive that you are, the more that you are filling your own cup, your frequency gets higher. That's the premise of law of attraction, which is really the idea of manifesting. Manifesting is just, I am successful. Okay, what does success mean? It means I'm making a lot of money. Why? What are you going to be using with that money? Traveling. No, I am a traveler. So get to the core of what you actually want. And this is where I say, it's going to sound like I'm talking in circles, but all about authenticity, all about what makes you unique. What do you want? And use that. So the higher that you can raise your own personal frequency by going after your dreams, by filling your own cup. It doesn't mean that everything is sunshine and rainbows by any stretch, but it means that I'm doing what I can to make myself the best version of myself. Whatever that means to me, that's your job right now. The more that we can make ourselves as individuals stronger, then we as individuals come together, everything starts to get better. Nothing gets better if we are all just eating from the hands of negativity and lies. So turn off your TV, turn off the news, go for a walk, appreciate nature, start filling that inner cup. It's absolutely the opposite of ignorance is bliss, because this is all just in preparation to get ready for when we do have to stand up. So I say this again to provide you with a little bit of homework, but also to provide you with a little bit of help and hopefully a little bit of fire. So for any other metaphysical questions, I'm always happy to answer. For any manifesting that you are trying to do, I am strong, I am uplifted, I am empowered. Keep it powerful, not just I am peaceful and calm. That's not what this time is about. So, what kind of actions can you take? Hold yourself accountable and find yourself, and then get ready. This is, again, a little bit different than normal, but I wanted to come on here to just provide accurate information.